Welcome back to the Bernard Lee Poker Show. Our guest this week not only is an excellent poker player, cash grinder for well over a decade, he's a brother of the 2021 Win Millions Championship, but also he is an incredible vlogger. For many of you, you may not know what that term is, but I'm saying vlog as in V, because he is a video extraordinaire. I'm going to say it because I think he is. He has his own YouTube page with almost 50,000 subscribers. He's known there as JohnnieVibes. Welcome, and thank you so much for joining us, Johnnie. And what a tremendous success that you have had on YouTube. But if I'm right, you didn't start this thinking like this is what it's going to end. Like in 3 or 4 years, I'm going to have 50,000 people. I can monetize it. I mean, you have to just kind of start it and have fun with it, right?
Yeah, no, definitely. I remember when I decided that I was going to make videos, it was kind of a transition because I had this like creativity thing inside of me that I was expressing through learning how to DJ and then learning how to make mashups in this software called Ableton. And I made like 10 mixes and uploaded them to SoundCloud. It was so fun for me. And when people would listen, it was like amazing. They would send me messages. Oh, that was so sick that what you did at the 4-minute mark or whatever. So I had this thing inside of me where I loved creating things that didn't exist. And so the natural transition was, let's not use Ableton. Let's use Final Cut Pro, which is a video editing software. And let's make some videos. So I would make travel videos of like my wife and I going to Croatia or whatever. But I never really had put myself in front of the camera. So when I decided to make poker videos, it was kind of an inspiration of Andrew Neeme, who was a friend of mine in Vegas. I saw what he was doing and it looked like he was incorporating a lot of visually creative things. And I was like, I want to do that. I thought it would help me in a lot of ways. I thought it would help me get better with public speaking. I thought it would be help me with my creativity and also just be an overall outlet, an overall release from the poker tables, because obviously the poker tables, the cash game tables can become a real grind. So I started setting aside a few hours a week to make a video. I remember when I decided to do it, I said, okay, I'm going to make 10 videos because I wanted to put a goal on it, because a lot of times you'll make one video and you'll quit. But I declared out, okay, I'm going to make 10. And because it starts to become a grind a little bit as well. And I was having fun with it, but nobody was really watching and I wasn't really expecting people to watch. But then the 7th video, I lost a lot of money and people started watching it. The YouTube algorithm picked it up and people were like, wow, this is great. Tell us more about the poker. We want to know about your thought process. Because I think people realized that I was a professional poker player and they wanted to know how a professional poker player thought. They wanted to know what the swings were like for a poker player. They wanted to know what the lifestyle was like. So that 7th video was kind of the catalyst for the rest of the videos. I remember thinking like, anytime you have success in something, anytime you're validated through success, whether it's like people watching it, whether it's dollars at the poker table, it fuels your passion for that thing. And the moment that you stop having success with something, your passion kind of dies a little bit and you need to either work on your game, learn something new within whatever that passion is, and it'll rekindle that fire and keep you going. I've had it happen so many times with poker where I'm just like burned out, but then I took a step back and I realized, well, the reason why I'm burned out in poker is because my results are stagnant or I'm not learning anything. And it kind of reignites me to get back in the lab, learn something more at the poker table, which ultimately fuels my results, which ultimately fuels my passion for playing poker again. So I kind of did that with making videos. Like once people were like, these videos are so great, I'm like, well, let's make the audio better. Let's make the video better. Let's tell a better story. Like, let's let's get my Instagram built up. Like, let's treat this social media thing like a game. And it was fun for me, and it still is fun. I love doing it. I love playing poker. I love making videos about it, and it's great because now I don't get overly burned out on one thing. If I get burned out on the videos, I just take some time off and I play more poker. If I get burned out a little bit on the poker, I make a few videos. So I feel like it's this great balance that I've never really felt like was a job. About a year and a half ago, though, I remember thinking like, I should probably start making money on YouTube, you know, because I'm investing a lot of time in
Yeah,
this,
yeah, yeah.
and I'm not really making any money from YouTube. So I started basically making that a little bit more of a focus. And because I never really thought it could be a job, but then I saw people around me like Brad Owen and people like
Right,
Rampage Poker, and they were sharing their analytics with me, and people like Mariano who makes YouTube videos, they were showing me how much money they were making with their YouTube ad revenue, and I was like, wow, this is pretty insane. Like this can
right.
supplement my poker big time. So I turned on monetization on my videos because I didn't even have monetization on for the longest time
That's
because
funny.
yeah, I was just like, who cares about
Right,
you, a
right,
couple
right.
dollars here and
How
there.
much could I make? It can't be much, you know, that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
So I turned on monetization, and I started taking it more serious. And now I'm getting to the point of where it could definitely make me money if I keep going down this path. You know, I could get signed by a poker site.
Right.
I could get opportunities to play in bigger cash games, which I have. So it went from a creative hobby into a part-time job. I
Mhm.
mean, kind of like how poker did, you know?
Right, right, right. And like you said, it really allows you to kind of balance everything. And as you said, it also that you didn't start out doing this with the intent. I kind of related to a couple things in my life. One is cooking. I'm not the best chef by any stretch of the imagination, but about 4 or 5 years ago, I was home. Kids, you know, getting older, they're playing a lot more sports, need healthy foods. I don't want them having processed food or us going out and wasting. So I started cooking a lot, and I was just doing it really for the kids. And now all of a sudden, a year later, they're like, "Hey, Dad, could you make this? We really like that." Or somebody tries something that we had left, and like, "Wow, that's really good. Like, what's that?" And you're like, "Wow, people really like it. Maybe I should keep making it." And you know, it's kind of like with your videos. Oh, they kind of like it. That's neat. And I've been making some sports videos for my kids, and some of the parents have watched it, and some of their friends have watched it, and they're like, "Wow, that's really good." And I'm like, I don't know, I'm just putting them
Yeah.
together. I think it's kind of fun. So I totally understand what you're saying, and obviously with YouTube, like you said, there's the potential of monetization of it. So why not?
Yes.
You've been
Something that
yeah,
comes
go
up for
ahead.
me from what you just said is my wife and I are really big into personal development. We're always challenging each other on like how do we live a bigger version of how do we live a bigger life? How do we be the best version of
Right,
ourselves and things like that. So we're always in the question of like what makes me happy? Like what really like ignites my passion?
right,
And you know, we talk about like, oh, I love playing poker and things like this, but like I was able to drill down into what it is and like why I love no limit hold'em D stack cash games and
yeah,
why I
yeah,
love
yeah,
making videos and like why I love DJing. I love the prospect of creating something or doing something that didn't exist if I didn't do it. Like the
mm,
creative process of like,
yeah, yeah,
I made this video and now it's in the world. And if I wasn't for me, like this video wouldn't exist. And if I didn't do this sound transition, this little version of this song that I made wouldn't exist. And that's what I hear from you in your cooking. It's like I created this meal
yeah.
through like trial and error. And
Right,
like now my kids have this meal that they couldn't get at a restaurant. It's
right.
like Bernard Lee's specialty, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Well, to me, you know, I don't want to sound cheesy, but everyone knows family's very important to me. It's definitely poker isn't one, it's two.
Yeah.
It's family one, family two, you know, and
Yeah.
maybe poker is there. But for me, I love the fact it's my expression of love to them and I think it's like their expression back to me of saying, Dad, we really like this. Could you make it for me? And for them to ask, you know, they're teenagers, for them to ask their dad to make something specific for them because they really like it. That's special to me as a father to be like, oh, 100%. Absolutely. When do you want, you know, my son will literally in the afternoon come home. Hey, Dad, could you make that chicken dish, you know, with the, you know, roasted broccoli and the, you know, mashed potato? Yeah, 100%. I'll make that, you know, pork chop dish for you, you know, that kind of stuff. And so I know people are not going to ask for the recipe. No, that's not a cooking show, but yeah, I mean, and like you said, I think it's that passion of making it and then what you turn that into. And I hear that of your YouTube and you and I have had conversations, and why I started really kind of putting more videos out there for YouTube was actually you, because we met at a Run Good event in Tulsa, pulled you aside, introduced myself, and we had just started chatting, and I give you a lot of the credit of you just saying, put them up. Like no one watches, whatever. And now I've had some videos over 1,000 views and more subscribers, and you see it, you really see it. And it's, you know, listen, I've been doing the radio / podcast for over 14 years. You don't do it for 14 years if you don't enjoy it. And for me, I love talking with everybody. I love hearing their story. I love picking their brain and getting the strategy. And what I hear back from my listeners is a lot of times, now I get pulled aside all the time. At Boston Billiards, where we were, that meetup game, I had 3 people pull me aside. And they always say, I love the questions you ask, because those are the questions I would have wanted to ask. Because you got to remember, we were all poker fans. Yeah, I understand we're in the media and people know us. But when Moneymaker did what he did in 2003, I was a fan. And I would love to have asked Chris X, Y, and Z. Well, 3 years later, when I had a radio show and a column in ESPN, et cetera, I was able to ask Chris X, Y, and Z. And now that I'm friends, I can even delve more, you know? And so that's what I think is really great, that for me, it's my passion. I enjoy doing this. You don't do this for 14 years because I'm making $1 million a year. Trust me, I'm not making that much. I'm not making, you know, nearly what, you know, these huge radio guys are, but I love doing this. And so I think that that's what you can see on your YouTube. You've been doing this for about, I'd say about 4 or 5 years right now, right?
3.5 years. Yeah. Coming up on 4 years in November.
What was the, you know, you had that video, like you said, the quote unquote, let's say, losing video that you had. It kind of sparked it and kept going. Any other videos along the way that you know, it's almost like you want that next one, right? So you had that big video and now you're like, okay, well, what's the next one I'm going to make? And you almost can't plan them sometimes. If you try to plan them, they flop. What was the next one or the next couple that you were like, wow, this was a huge hit. Never thought that was going to happen.
Yeah. So one of the things that I really focused on at the beginning, especially, was telling a story. So like, I remember after I had that big loss, I wanted to creatively inspire people that had been in a loss, and like now they're coming back to the poker table. So I used this clip of Rocky that was like, you know, no, you, me, or nobody we're gonna fall down, we're gonna get back up. And I used that clip, and it was like slow motion. And so like, I'm always looking for ways to do something creative in my videos. And it's hard because you can't script life, and I can't script what happens at the poker table. So when things, you know, don't go my way, I just have to tell it in the most compelling way possible. And when things do go my way, I have to tell that in the most compelling way possible. Right. So some of my favorite episodes were like number 16. I interviewed my wife, and I asked her, like, what was it like the first time you remember Johnnie cashing the WSOP main event? And like, she recalled, you know, what it was like. And then I used B-roll footage of like me playing in the main event. Sure. And she got teary-eyed, like thinking about that moment, because she like flew to Vegas to see me cash. And like, we had this like moment, like, oh, first WSOP cash. And it was like so exciting. She talked about like, I ordered a beer at the end of the night, and those I will get to go back and watch later on. And I'll show my kids later on. I was
going to say, you can show your kids and everybody, right? Your grandkids.
Yeah, exactly. So I really focus on telling a story that I would want to watch back myself years later. And I don't really care as much about like, this is what I do with pocket jacks and the cutoff when I'm facing a raise, like that kind of stuff. I do tell it because it provides educational value for the viewer. And, you know, YouTube is a value proposition. If they're going to watch my video, it's because I'm either providing value through entertainment, or I'm providing value through education, or some blend of the two. So I have to get them value. I'll try to entertain them with the real life stories. But if I fall short on that, then I'll give you value through education on how a professional poker player would play certain hands. Right. But I try to keep a blend of both so that I go back later on and watch it. And it's just been so fun for me, man.
Yeah. And like you said, if it's fun, they always say it, right? If you're doing a job if you're doing something that you love, it ain't a job, right? And so it's enjoyable. Also, the beauty of YouTube is that you're not under any pressure. If you want to take a month off, you just take a month off, right? I mean, whatever, it doesn't matter with regards to how you do it. How long does it take you to make a video? You know, I'm sure each video is different based off of the content, but just in general, how long does it take you to make a video? I'd love for people to understand, because people think it's probably 2 seconds. I mean, this is a lot of work.
Yeah, to make a poker video specifically with like hands that you play, and then you want to put graphics on the screen,
Right?
because you're essentially telling a story. And if you don't use any graphics on the screen, the visual part of the story is lacking. So like
Right.
if I say I have pocket jacks, you should see pocket jacks on the screen so that like you can visualize like, oh, he has pocket jacks. If the flop comes like ace jack 4, you need to see that on the screen. So like
Right.
putting these graphics on the screen, putting text on the screen, moving the graphics into the right location. I would say if a video has 10 hands in it, you can expect for just the editing part of those hands to be 10 hours. So
Wow.
1 hour for one hand.
Wow.
And if you have an intro and then you have an outro,
Right.
you're looking at 15 hours of video.
Crazy. That's a lot of work, obviously.
Which is why when you're editing your own videos, it's hard to release more than one a week.
Right. What
Because you actually
about
gotta play poker too, you know?
right? Exactly. To get the content, right? I mean, obviously, and not that like every session is the perfect session. What about, so I know that you have been doing some streaming as well with regards to the World Series bracelet events. What about that? Like, how easy, how difficult is it to do that? Because I've just recently slowly started figuring out how to do all of that, but it's not, once you set it up, it's pretty easy. But how do you kind of get that going, kind of in a nutshell?
Well, the actual like mechanics of it, of streaming, once you figure that out, it's essentially turning on your live stream and getting in front of the camera, playing poker. The hard part of live streaming, and it requires a much different skill set than vlogging, is you need to talk and you need to be entertaining. Or, one of my live streams was 6 hours. So basically, I'm having a conversation with the viewers that are in my chat. And then, there's 500 people watching me live stream and play these tournaments. I need to engage with them. I need to be entertaining. I need to talk a little strategy. Like, why am I flatting this hand? What's my range look like for 3-betting in position? So it's an entirely different skill set in itself, and one that I haven't been doing for very long, but I have a little bit of a knack for it. I'm pretty good on my toes, and I'm pretty good at talking thought process. So the streaming has been easier for me than I was a little worried that it was going to be difficult. The only part that's been tough is towards the end of the stream, my voice gets a little tired. And it's like I get a little fatigued. So streaming for 6 hours takes a lot out of you.
Yeah. No, it's like commentating basically, right? And so like I've done commentating before, so I know that after a while you just have to keep, especially when it's, you get dealt 9-2 6 times in a row. It's not like you can say anything fascinating. Okay, I'm folding in the hijack now instead of the cutoff. I mean, like after a certain point, it is what it is. Talk a little bit about the meetup games, because that's really exciting. We were at the Boston Billiards in New Hampshire for a meetup game, and you have often other meetup games as well. How does that work out for you with regards to that? You get to meet your fans, obviously, and I don't think people realize is that you often move from table to table to side of kind of talk with them, and then obviously get content as well, right?
Yeah, the meetup game model was started by Andrew Neeme.
Yeah.
And it's a brilliant model because when we're going back to monetization, when we talk about monetizing our platforms, it's either through YouTube ad revenue or brand deals or selling merchandise are the top like ways to do that. And essentially what a meetup game is it's a brand deal where Boston Billiards Club is contracting, Rampage and myself to come play. We work out like a fee. You cover our travel, give me a hotel, a small fee, and then we bring people to play poker. We have a game, And it's a win-win for the people that watch the content and for myself, because I don't have to ask the audience for any money. The monetization gets paid for by the casino. And now I get to connect with people that watch the channel for $0. You know,
Right.
of course, like they might lose money at the poker table, or they could actually win money at the poker table. I
Sure.
could actually lose money at the poker table. There's
Right.
been times where I've flown to Texas to play in meetup games and lost $4,000. So it was
Yeah.
definitely not a profitable endeavor to,
Yeah.
to have the meetup game. You know, 'cause
Right.
casino definitely did not pay me $4,000 to come. So,
Yeah. But
so it's a
obviously you get
win-win.
content out of it as well, right? I
And
mean,
then we
that's
make
the
content,
right.
which feeds like the YouTube channel. So
Right.
overall, the meetup game model is amazing, and it's something
Yep.
that I will continue to do. I probably won't do it terribly often. I'll probably make alliances with like certain casinos. So like the Hustler is a casino that I just made an alliance with for the last year. So if you want to come to a meetup game, you're probably going to have to come to Los Angeles for a weekend, hit the meetup game and Hustler. I've been looking at maybe doing one partner in Texas. So like maybe, you know, if Los Angeles isn't your scene, maybe in Texas, but doing the like flying all over to Boston and Miami and Chicago, I'm probably not going to do that anymore, because it takes a lot out of me. And, you know, it's not overly lucrative, but it's still something that I want to do, because it's just a win-win for everyone involved.
Sure. Well, I mean, maybe you can work it around maybe a tournament or something like that you may be going to anyway. And so then therefore now your costs are taken care of and you're there, you know, that kind of thing. So, so what do you see for yourself is the future with regards to YouTube, poker, et cetera? Because right now you've established yourself, obviously you have already established for years of being able to play and grind the cash games. Now, YouTube for about 3-4 years is really starting to take hold, and you click the monetization button. So now, what do you kind of think is the potential future for you over the next few years?
Yeah, that's an interesting question. It's a question that I battle with all the time, because I will always play poker, and I love poker, and it's going to be something that's going to always be a part of my life, which means that I'll always be studying it, especially with Andrew being around me and him continually ascending to higher heights and pushing his own game. I mean, Andrew and I have coaching sessions together all the time. So that's always going to be a big part of my life. And I honestly see content being a part of my life going forwards as well. Perhaps like, you know, I might dabble, like Andrew and I started a podcast that's a video for, it's called Embrace the Grind. So continually doing projects like that. I have some other projects that I've been working on behind the scenes. One of which is a data analytics project for NFTs, specifically NBA Top Shot. So I kind of just am this all around hustler kind of guy, that I'm always going to be kind of like that, and always going to be dabbling in poker, dabbling in content, dabbling on my next little startup that like crosses over with everything, you know. But to know what the 5 to 10 year thing looks like, I don't know. It's just one foot in front of the other. We'll see where it takes us.
Well, I think also the beauty of it is, and this is what kind of I've done for my career as well, is you do what you love, you continue to do what you love, and you try to be the best that you possibly can be at it. And then see what opportunities come from that, and then utilize your skills, or sometimes I call them assets, and then now try to make something of that, and maybe, like for YouTube, monetize it, right? And if you can do that and continually do that and make a living off of it, you have a great life. And, you know, for better or worse, you've had that over the last 4 or 5 years with YouTube, and hopefully beyond. I've been fortunate for the last 15 years to be able to do this in the media and playing poker and et cetera. And hopefully we'll continue to do that, both of us, for many years to come. And I congratulate you on really all of your success. I really do, my friend.
Thank you so much. Yeah, it's interesting. Like, I remember thinking so much about how I wanted to be a professional poker player, and I wanted to make it work as a professional poker player. And I did that, you know, for the better part of 12 years. And a part of me didn't want to give that up, because there's like this badge of honor. Like, all of my income comes from playing poker. But I've recently transitioned into, you know, wanting to build something outside of poker, to where I don't have to grind at the tables anymore, and I can build this life outside of poker poker while still being good at poker and making money at the poker table. So it's been a growing process for myself, and now I'm just embracing, doing things that I love, like you said, and seeing where it takes me.
Johnnie, thanks so much for joining the show. Really appreciate it. Everyone, go on YouTube, JohnnieVibes. Definitely follow him there. Subscribe and like everything on his show. You'll really enjoy the videos. There are a lot of really great ones, and a range, not just playing as well, but like you said, a lot of travel and lifestyle stuff as well.
Yeah, it's great to and it's great to have you on YouTube, in the YouTube streets. If anybody is subscribed to my channel or is in the YouTube space, let's get some momentum for the Bernard Lee show and the content he creates, and let's get him some subscribers, some likes, and some follows over there on YouTube.
Well, I appreciate it. But yeah, Bernard Lee Poker is what I am pretty much across the board: Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube. And I have some exciting stuff that I'm thinking about, and you and I will talk about that offline. And I'm excited to start doing some stuff on that space. But again, really appreciate your time.
Yeah, one last thing. I don't think that if people are new to this show or new to your content in general, I don't know if they realize how many people in the poker space are on your Rolodex and how many people you've interviewed. So you can dive back in. He's talked to all the greats of poker. So it's nice to be finally in that list of all the greats that you've interviewed. I'll hopefully I'll be as big as one of them one day.
Well, you're in the YouTube space. You are, my friend. You definitely are. So I appreciate it. Very nice, kind words from you. I appreciate it. And hey, listen, everyone who's been listening for so many years, the thousands of you, tens of thousands of you that listen every single week, I really appreciate all of your support. Definitely go on to YouTube if you can. Watch this one, obviously. Watch Jack Binion's and watch many more that are coming your way. But we will be continuing our interviews leading up to the World Series of Poker. I can't believe we're going to be live again. This is going to be fantastic, but it'll be coming right around the corner. And as always, may you always go in with the best hand, and may you never get unlucky. Good night, everybody.